Hey, good morning, Georgia. Welcome to Community Focus. I'm at the Capitol today. Faith is in the hinterlands of East Georgia, soon to be the home of Rivian. Facebook, it's going to be Electric Avenue going from here to Augusta, where we've got Easy Go and Club Car and Rivian. Oh my goodness, Faith, you've got to get an electric vehicle.
My garage is already wired for our new build. That was part of the code. We had to put in a dedicated circuit for an electric vehicle. So we're ready to go.
Yeah, well, great. Well, we are in Fayetteville, Georgia today, Fayette County, south of Atlanta. In fact, if you around the farmers market airport, if you get off on Georgia 85 and not Interstate 85, but Georgia 85, people have confused this. And you go south, you'll go through Riverdale, my hometown, and then you'll cross a little creek and you'll be in Fayetteville, kind of the next town down there. And we've got Ray Gibson, the city manager today, and Jimmy Adams from Coweta Fayette. We've got several more folks. Deborah Beecham. In fact, I'm going to bring Deborah in here. Deborah, good morning. How's it going?
Morning. Good morning.
Yeah, and Faye's going to talk with you about navigating justice for human trafficking. And so we always put a focus on this. It's a blight. And unfortunately, it's horrible that we have to talk about this. But if you don't talk about it, people forget. And you just got to keep talking about it. Ray Gibson, Ray, growing up in Riverdale, graduating from North Clayton High School, 1978, we went to Fayetteville a lot. I mean, you had a little tiny theater down there back in the day, but you had that little square down there, and it was just a quaint little town where Riverdale was kind of built on Georgia 85, and you had a lot of fast food things, and it wasn't near as quaint as Fayetteville is. Do you have people tell you that Fayetteville is just a wonderful little, hometown for Georgia?
Yeah, for sure. But it's growing, and that's a big part of, since I've been here for the last 7 years, that's a big thing we've concentrated on was progress and creating a more vibrant downtown.
Yeah. Well, tell me about downtown, because I've gone through it, all my life. In fact, my mom lived off Georgia 85. My late mom lived off Grantchester Way down there across from the Trading Post, because our family knew the folks that owned the Trading Post. And we would go down there and buy our blue jeans and my T-shirts and my underwear and my shoes. And they gave our family a little discount. My family owned a car auction, so my family negotiated everything. And they had a little discount that they got. My dad would drive down there Sunday afternoon. We'd walk around the Trading Post, and my mom would make me try on this and that. So I've been going to Fayetteville for a long time. It was the source of my clothing. But tell me about downtown and how it's growing.
Well, don't get me wrong. We have a wonderful downtown currently. And a big part of what the city council, by the way, we have an excellent mayor and city council, very collaborative and visionary. And one of the big things that we've talked about from a strategy standpoint is how do we make it more vibrant, our downtown? So what we've done since 2018, we purchased the former school board property. And then it's 10 acres. And on 2 acres of that, we built a 34,000 square foot new city hall building.
Wow.
And then what's exciting about that is there's a large balcony on the back of the city hall that overlooks the new city center park, which is 7.7 acres.
Whoa.
And then it even gets more exciting as we've entered into a public-private partnership with Round Town Collaborations, because we have the old school gymnasium and the old bus barn on the property, and those have been redeveloped. The bus barn is a multi-use facility with 4 businesses in there now, a microbrewery, a barbecue restaurant, candy store, and a wine bar. And that's 14,000 square feet. And then the event center, the old gymnasium, is, like I said, 10,000 square feet. And that's an event center called the Dottie. And like I said, it's all private money put into redeveloping those projects, but we own it. But we're very excited about that partnership, and we're very excited. And even across the street from the the park is a 270 unit apartment complex
Wow.
that will have first level, first floor commercial and retail uses.
Wow. Faith, we do the Clean Energy Roadshow. I've been doing it for 11 straight years, and we take it to different places each year, Ray. Always Savannah, always Atlanta, but all the other the other 2 or 3 locations that we do, they vary. So we did Peachtree Corners this year, done Augusta, Valdosta, Macon,
Columbus.
Dalton, Athens. We've never done Fayetteville, and I wonder now with this green space, I wonder if we pull up our 20 alternative fuel vehicles down there and do that seminar back there. I mean, is that something Fayetteville would be interested in us bringing there, maybe in the fall?
Oh, for sure. One of the big issues we still do have is about hotels. So we're looking to build another hotel downtown, a private contractor, obviously, but we're looking to also maybe potentially have one closer to the park so we can have more conferences.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
ours is a fairly small event, 125 people,
Yeah.
20 vehicles, including electric school bus, electric semi, a natural gas trash truck, things like that. So it really is focused on cities and counties and fleets more than individuals. So we market it heavily with, the county commission association, GMA, and all of those guys. In fact, Faith, we've been to Savannah and taught it at the GMA as kind of a continuing education thing, right?
Yep, we sure have.
Yeah. Well, Ray, what about the impact of that studio down there? I know Dan, Kathy, I go way back with the Kathy family, and I know I was kind of shocked when Dan got into the movie business, but he bought those guys out, I guess, and built the whole little town there. What kind of impact's that having on the community?
It's having a huge impact. It's not just the uses that on the studio itself, it's the ancillary uses that come about as a result in our community, the jobs it's creating. Obviously, Triloth, the town at Triloth, which is evolving into a very special and unique place. Everywhere I go to different conferences, even the Congress of New Urbanism, Triloth is always talked about. So it's very exciting. And the financial impact's also very beneficial to the city as well, opening up more avenues for us to enhance our economic development initiatives here in the city of Fayetteville.
Yeah, I'm from Covington, and we have exactly the same thing happening here. It sounds like Covington and Fayetteville have a lot in common with the studio and the movies. They're just kind of revitalizing.
And that's another great point is we're competing with
Yeah.
a lot of other communities around Georgia and around the world now. So
Yeah. Well, Ray, thank you so much for your leadership down there. Give the mayor my best, and I really need to come down there and see, to see these upgrades that you guys have made. Maybe talk about some EV charging, and you've got great folks with Coweta Fayette EMC there, Jimmy Adams. We're going to talk to him in just a second, but you've got plenty of help. But I always love to just see some of the innovative things that are happening.
well, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day down there. Hey, speaking of the man, Jimmy, we've traveled the state together. We've shot sporting clays. We've promoted EVs.
We've watched racing.
Yeah, and we raced those go-karts up there. Folks may not know that that your boss is some driver. He's some go-kart driver.
It helps to be lanky and skinny, less weight in the car. I think you can travel faster. I wouldn't do very well.
Yeah, that's right. That weight matters. Well, Jimmy, you heard what Ray said about Triloth, and I mean, having you guys engaged down there, I want you to tell folks just how engaged in this little adjacent. Started out as just a little neighborhood, but isn't there a bridge to it from the studio? And tell us about that.
And it's amazing to look back, look at the studio and the town today compared to just a few years ago. Before, it was just farmland and an elementary school that Fayette County didn't need because of the recession at the time. So it's amazing when I drive through, and we're down there almost every day of the week. to see how much it's grown. The studio has been a great partner of ours. We were fortunate enough to be chosen to serve the energy for the studio, and it's been a great growing process. It's kept us on our toes, and it's pushed us as a company to look at new technology as EV charging for one. And I know the ownership really in their vision wanted to keep the 3,000 to 4,000 movie makers there. They wanted them to put down roots. So they're in the process of constructing a live, work, and play development. It's now the town of Triloth. It's eventually going to incorporate over 600 homes, shops, theaters, space. It's amazing. And where we are involved, early on in the planning process, the owner, who you mentioned, and the developer have a strong desire to construct the homes in the most energy efficient manner possible, way above local codes and national codes. So we worked on for over a year, a green building code that addressed all the construction aspects of the home. The builders are installing geothermal heating and cooling, which is a great upgrade. It's more expensive, but it's very, very efficient. The homes are really airtight. Where we come in and the service we provide is we inspect the homes through the process, and we measure for air leakage. We measure the duct system. We look at the checklist that we put together to make sure the homes are compliant. And so these homes are very, very energy efficient. They're all pre-wired for electric vehicle charging. They're pre-wired for solar, rooftop solar. So it's really a great value for home buyers, and it's also great for our members, because once a person moves into one of these homes, they become a member of Coweta Fayette EMC, and they're who our allegiances lie. So we want that member to be as energy efficient as possible.
Yeah, those of you out there, wait a second, Faith, are you a member of an EMC there, or are you Georgia Power customer?
I have been. I was a Snapping Shoals EMC member in my previous house, but I'm a Georgia Power customer in my new house.
So I'm a Jackson EMC member, and I find these EMCs to be what I call nimble. There's just, they can move a little bit quicker. I mean, Jimmy, they are smaller. I mean, to be fair, but like my EMC, Jackson EMC, not only do I have net metering on my solar on my home, but they gave me $450 per kilowatt for my system to put it on. I mean, why would an EMC reward their members for doing these things?
We've liked to think of ourselves as the energy expert that our members can turn to, whether it's solar, EVs, energy efficiency. Something as seemingly small as installing a programmable thermostat. We have an incentive for that. The EV market is growing exponentially, especially in Fayette County. It's just the demographics line up with EV ownership. And we have a program we call Drive Free for a year, where we absorb the cost for 12 months for our member that purchases a new 100% plug-in EV. We absorb the cost of charging for the first year. And that's been wildly successful. We've had a few hundred members take advantage of that. And I have to give some of that credit back to Triloth and the ownership. They brought us into the EV realm early on as far as installing commercial EV charging. And we've installed approximately 20 charging stations to date. In fact, we're finishing installing 2 at our Piedmont Hospital location.
Wow.
And that goes back to our relationship with Triloth.
I remember when they were Pinewood.
Yeah.
5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, whenever they started, Dan Cathy hired away my former president from Teen Pack. He called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about us hiring Lydia?" And I said, "She's phenomenal." And he hired her. She worked there for some years. So shout out to Lydia Shanks, who helped me build Teen Pack, to now a nationwide nonprofit. But I remember taking some EVs down there when they had, a few little golf carts around there. Right. I was urging them, to go ahead and, add chargers. I think I called y'all and engaged y'all to to pour it on, and and they have, and I mean, Kathy's driving an electric car now, so
Absolutely.
I've gone to Chick-fil-A headquarters and I've urged them to add more chargers. They have. So, Chick-fil-A's had quite an impact. Truett Cathy had quite an impact in my life. So I've always been, a big fan. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for all you're doing down there at Coweta Fayette. Appreciate your leadership and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Hey, Faith, let's bring Deborah into our stream and talk a little bit about what she's doing to serve in this area of fighting human trafficking.
Absolutely. Deborah, it's good to have you with us today. Deborah is with Navigating Justice, which is a group that works with human trafficking. And Deborah, will you tell us a little bit about what you do with Navigating Justice?
I will. Thank you for having me on. And Commissioner, first, I just want to thank you for all you're doing for the state of Georgia and in energy, clean energy. I mean, I've been following your work for years and years, and it was such an honor to meet you in the Unholy Tour and around your campaign, your family, your staff. You really set the bar high for the rest of our leadership. So I'm just really grateful for that. And I also want to say that, I mean, there are a lot of people who come and go and kind of in and out of the conversation about child trafficking, exploitation, whether it's for labor, sex, commercial, or something that doesn't seem commercial, but it's still child exploitation. You're one of the few and rare people who just never backs down and always keeps the conversation going, bringing in more people and continuing to build this community around this issue. So very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So for about 10 years, Faith, I've been studying what happens to children when families are in conflict and the children go into different stages of crisis. So we know that the exploitation of children, and this is something I would challenge everybody to keep on your radar, whether it's a book on your bookshelf that you can see, or a podcast or a blog, or something in your Google search where you're alerted to what's happening in your area. We have wonderful organizations who are constantly putting out updates, whether it's around domestic violence or other issues that kind of dovetail and intersect with child trafficking. We also have the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, has a task force, and I spent some time on the task force in the public education work group with Erica Mortensen and Carla Jacobs. So always go to the CJCC as a way to branch out into other resources to learn more on these subjects. So my focus, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a teacher, but I am a mandated reporter by training, because my unique focus as a child advocate and as a reporter and a quasi-journalist, I've had some background in journalism, and I was included by the Supreme Court, Justices Namias and Peterson, when they revised the Supreme Court, the Superior Court rules for filming in courtrooms, which transparency, as we know, is really important, right?
Yeah.
So I've kind of made my rounds through the community, the legal community, mental health, first responders with law enforcement, emergency room doctors, pediatricians. And over again, I see that there's still more need for education and still more need for this topic to be front and center and not just put on a shelf or backburnered. And so Commissioner Eccles, you're key in helping that come to fruition. So focusing on family conflict is something that I haven't seen a lot over the years. And, I had my own experience over 12 years ago where I saw some issues with how evidence of child abuse and domestic violence were treated in the court system. But I started paying attention to other situations where children were really really being badly damaged, whether it was sexual abuse by a family member or somebody related or associated with the family. And the children just weren't being protected.
Yeah.
And in some of those cases, you could see the pipeline where the children were getting kind of dropped through the cracks and being trafficked. Somebody I'd love for you to have on, if you haven't already, Tammy Kennedy.
Yeah. So Tammy, we haven't had her on this show, but we absolutely would love to. But Commissioner Eccles has been friends with Tammy since the very beginning of his terms in office. She's fantastic. Yeah.
And she does a lot of training, like when Delta did their training. And so we just have great people all around us in our state who can cover, the whole spectrum of the issues on this topic. And what was I going to say? When we did the safe harbor, that it was so powerful being a part of that.
So explain really quickly what the safe harbor law is.
Actually, can I defer?
Yeah.
It's been a little bit since I talked about it, but it was something that I voted for, campaigned for, showed up for over and over again. Just making sure that the victims of sex trafficking had a voice, had a way out.
So the state of Georgia is required. The state of Georgia is not required. The state of Georgia has required that notices with the hotline, the human trafficking hotline, be posted in every publicly accessible place. So gas station bathrooms, hotel bathrooms, the airport, it's posted all over. And that was a huge movement a few years ago that really people really fought to get that. And that's one of the few places that women and girls who are being trafficked or boys who are being trafficked can maybe go without being watched and without being supervised. And so that's a huge avenue for escape for someone to get help who might not otherwise be able to receive that help.
Right. So I'd like to say to our community of business leaders, people who work in policy, people who work in energy, and all of our local leadership and their staff to take some time, just block out 30 minutes and study what the signs are. Children, teenagers, even college age, or older. I mean, anyone can be trafficked. Recognize the signs of somebody who may be intimidated, silenced, under coercion, because we know that deception and coercion are at the core of trafficking. It's all about power and control. It's not always about sex, but it's always about money. So if you see somebody in a position of power and control, especially if they're in a position to make money from controlling a child, a teenager, a young adult, male or female, if you know what to look for and if you know how you should respond, because everybody in my work, everybody can be a first responder. If you know how to document details and how to pick up the phone and contact local law enforcement, contact DFACS, there's multiple places to go. There's national organizations and local organizations who will listen to you and help you break down what you're seeing, and they will help you follow through, or they will take over and follow through.
Absolutely.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much. And, the things that you're saying, I think a lot of people, they're unaware of it. They've heard how bad it is. They just don't know the minutia. They want to. And if you're out there and you're interested in knowing more, we've got Deborah's information scrolling across the bottom. And I have a hard stop. Unfortunately, my real job, which is downstairs floor, regulating energy, is calling my name. I have to be there in 3 minutes. So thank you so much for being on with us today. And
Wonderful.
We'll see you, I am sure, soon. I need that updated tour of Triloth and to go in some of those houses. So
Anytime.
get me down there, please. And Ray, when I'm down there, I want to come by and see your new green and check out everything. So really, really appreciate.
Look forward to it.
Faith, where are we going next with community focus?
Next week, we'll be in Peachtree Corners, which is where we had the roadshow earlier last year. It's a beautiful facility. And then the week after that, we will be in Monroe. And the first week of March, we'll be down in Albany.
Okay, y'all. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you. Take
everybody.
care.
Thank you.